Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome! Why do you look weird now, Dev, as I'm starting the show?
There's some feedback in the stream.
Feedback in the stream.
Not for me, but for the stream. I don't know where it's... I don't know if it's... Not for me, but for the stream. I don't know where it's...
Stop when
I don't know if it's...
It
It could be me.
Stop when
I don't know if it's... It could be me. I don't know if it's...
Go ahead and say something, Dev.
Hi.
Go ahead and say something, Dev.
Hi.
I'm just...
Oh, it is me.
Okay.
Alright, give me a second.
Let's
Do
say
the
what?
intro. Hi, I'm Dev.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Alright, give me a
Okay.
second.
How is there feedback if
Do the intro.
you
I'm
have
Dev.
if I'm in the one in control? Okay. How is there feedback if
Do the intro.
you have if I'm in the one in control?
I muted my mic, and it's not... Where's this coming? You want to end the call and restart the call, see if that fixes it?
Sure, we can give that a try. Why not? Why not? Ah, gotta love critically casual when everything messes up.
Huh. I hear it, but I don't know what it would... Do you have something on in the background?
Nope,
It sounds... It's static. Do you hear that?
I don't hear anything, so it's gotta be my mic most likely.
I'll let you know if it... Hold on, don't plug it back in. Huh.
Better? Worse? The same?
It was there even after you unplugged it, but it was airier.
So is it there now is the question.
It's still there.
What the
I don't know what it is.
I've not heard this problem. I can't hear it at all, so I don't see anything weird or different on the waveform. I don't see anything weird or different on the waveform. I don't hear anything anymore through the stream. I don't hear anything anymore through the stream. Fla la 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 la. La 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 la. Yeah, I'm still just hearing nothing my side. Except for me echoing in the background now. Nothing my side. Except for me echoing in the background now. Nothing my side. Testing, testing, testing. Except for me echoing in the background now. Testing, testing, testing.
It might be my headphones, which is really unfortunate because these are good headphones. It might be my headphones.
I think it is, Dev, because I don't hear it or see anything else.
But it's only when I have the stream playing.
Does anyone
Okay,
else
so
in chat have this problem? Or are we going crazy? Am I going crazy? Am I deaf?
one of us might be going.
And
Let's see if I hear it.
okay.
Sorry, it's really weird.
Hi everybody, welcome to Critically Casual, where everything messes up at one point or another. And we're starting late, and you know all this fun stuff is happening. But you know, whatever. We're here. It's Star Wars Rating Week. And this is Dev. He's my co-host. I'm Srekcuf5 and
Hi.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just when I'm listening to the stream through this headset.
That is
It's the only audio that does that. That is really strange. Sorry, that's on me. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, this week, the long-winded title that I put is literally Critically Casual, the rating of the Star Wars. Where we're starting off. Yeah, we're starting off this week with our favorite light side users, our top 5 and our honorable mentions. We're then going to our favorite dark side users, top 5 and honorable mentions. We're then moving to our favorite fights, top 5 and honorable mentions. Saber fights specifically, lightsaber fights.
Yep.
And then we're going to wrap everything up with our overall standings of the movies. And with each and everything and its ratings, we'll give you, of course, a brief explanation of why we chose that stuff. And yeah. So yeah. I've got nothing else covered.
That sounds about right.
So yeah, I guess with that being said and done, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we just literally get in here?
Holy shit, have we been in a lot of ways planning this, and in a lot of ways not planning this. It's
Mhm.
kind of unique because it was one of those things that like we didn't want to watch these and then jump into it. Like a year later, we've been planning to do this list since episode 9 was like since we knew that we were gonna do episode 9.
Which we knew we were gonna do that. I think around Solo. So
Yeah. And then we're like, so we're gonna do the list, aren't we? Because we did the list for
MCU
MCU.
and Mission Impossible. Well, no, we technically reviewed Mission Impossible, but
Yeah, it was a little bit different because all those technically have a rating if you go through them.
And these really don't. They're just our
No.
standings.
Yeah, they're where we think they belong in the order of things. Which, I mean, based off of whatever we may have given Solo rating-wise, you can maybe figure out what we think, but
Yeah, probably.
who knows? We'll see.
So yeah. Also, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Fair.
Literally as I was gonna say it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's nothing clever from me.
Like, no, this list has been kind of like... This has been, like, not the list part, but, like, the discussion of this episode has been going on since then. Like,
yes.
what we're going to do.
I also remember what I was about to say. These episodes, the ones that we actually do our ratings, are kind of some of my favorites because they're slightly different than what we do normally. So, like, it's a different type of conversation, and it just opens up a whole new world of possibility for the show.
Yeah, and an episode like this also gives us the opportunity because we'll do this, and then we'll do... Usually, it's because the next episode is a single film episode, which we also don't do often. So...
I'm so happy.
Hey, yeah, dude, it's something to be happy about because we don't do those often. Not that we dislike them, we've liked
We like
the
our
two movie
format.
yeah, the two movie format is unique on the market, and two, it's enjoyable because it gives us the ability to compare films to other films, which we like to do.
Plus, I love when I'm telling my friends about this podcast. I'm like, yeah, the podcast is a podcast where we review a new movie and an old movie and kind of compare them. It's like, that's a pretty interesting pitch. But then they get to know me, and then they're like, that's what your show's going to be like, huh?
Yeah.
So, there's that. All right.
Oh, yeah, it's... And so, like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well, so, like, being able to do this episode has been also one of those things that has kind of been, like, it was going to happen regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So...
We're
yeah,
here.
it's just... yeah, we're here. This is Star Wars, like...
42 years of movie making, all for this moment.
for us to make a podcast.
Exactly. And I'm going to say that again next week when... because who knows?
Yeah.
It's poetry. I'm going to say it the same way, but slightly different. Like poetry. It rhymes.
Rhyming.
Yeah.
Who'd you learn that from?
I don't know. Some wise old sage who liked laser swords.
Fair enough.
All right. Enough jibber jabber. Let's actually get into why people are here and talk
Yes.
about these movies. Starting off, everybody, with the light side users. So, I'm going to switch the screen and it's going to show us right away. Are we ready? On number 5
Yes.
on our light side users that we have decided that is our 5th favorite light side user, according to the canonical canon that is the film franchises.
Yes, our list will only be the 11 films that have come out. And if you're wondering why I said 11, it's because the Clone Wars movie did release in theaters. So that is technically film canon.
So, yeah, there's 11 movies that we're going through that are film canon, and using that film canon, we have decided that our 5th favorite light side user is Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah. So, let's explain this a little bit, shall we? Qui-Gon Jinn, to me, when I think of Qui-Gon, I like how you changed your background. Show off.
Thank you.
I could do that too if you give me like 5 minutes of preparation.
I just realized, could I technically green screen behind?
Kind of. Not very effectively right now, but kind
It'd
of.
be weird.
Yeah.
Just get a bunch of those on a white wall.
There you go. Perfect. So yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn is our number 5. And for me, the reason why he was up there as a light side user, but not quite the best, is because, in my opinion of a Jedi, he is the absolute perfect Jedi. He has patience, he has time, I guess you can consider him kind of gray, because he was one in the council that people didn't like sometimes.
He wasn't even in a council. He was a
Exactly.
master outside of the council.
Mhm.
And another solid point to you as well is that he is the most attuned with the Force in a lot of ways.
So yeah, with that in mind, he doesn't do anything in the movies. He has
No.
he has a fight scene maybe, kind of, technically.
Ooh.
Yeah. So at least he gets that.
Yeah. Yeah, we both, and that's the problem with this list, like, a lot of these characters will be like, and the problem with some of these characters is when we talk about the prequels.
Yes.
Because especially on this more critical watch through, man, God, it's a lot more painful.
Especially these prequels. Like, initially when I told myself I was going to watch these movies, I was like, yeah, I'll go in numerical order. Not, like, chronological order, not release order. And I've decided I'm never doing that again. Because these first 3 are slogs. They're just like, you gotta get through
Yeah,
them. So,
yeah.
So, 4, 5, 6, 1,
I
2,
fell
3,
asleep during 2 of them. Legitimately. And this was one of them.
Yeah. So, Qui-Gon, great Jedi, just not in the movies.
Yeah, I mean, he's not bad in the movie. It's just he's not good. And literally, the people he's above, we weren't gonna put all of the goddamn council on the list, by the way, because not everyone does anything. Maybe Mooney could have made our under 5 list, but he is really only in a few scenes where he talks.
Yeah.
So he's not. He didn't even make that list.
I'm
So like,
I'm a little upset with myself now. Like, we have honorable mentions coming up, and I really, really wish I used one of the ones from episode 3, like one of the 3 Jedi that walk in with Mace Windu who die right away in the fight against Palpatine. My honorable mention: this guy who just killed himself in 5 seconds.
that actually would have been pretty good. I would have given you credit for that one.
No.
That's fair.
I missed it.
You did. We got our honor mentions already.
True.
Yeah. So that's why Jin makes the top 5, because really, and I mean, we might. I could review 6 for a second because it was between him and Mace, and it was kind of more like, what did they do? Like, Mace has a cool fight, but he also is just kind of a dickhead the entire time, and he's not really enjoyable. Qui-Gon, on the other hand, is enjoyable for being fed garbage lines about midichlorians.
It's the life force of the Force. That's how I say it.
I hate it.
Line.
I hate it. Even when you're making fun of it, I hate it.
Because
The
it
problem with
ruins
these
Star
films.
Wars. All right, enough with Qui-Gon.
Midichlorians!
Enough with Qui-Gon and midichlorians. We're moving on to number 4, okay?
Got it.
So our number 4 choice. I'm not sure how rapidly this will change over, but I'm doing it now. Aha! It's Yoda.
Hello, Yoda.
Yes, wise you are.
Oh.
Choosing Yoda.
Yes. So, the reason why Yoda isn't higher on the list is probably what we need to talk about.
It's because in the movies he doesn't do much.
Yeah, welcome to prequels. Welcome to the prequels. Like, literally, if it was just Yoda from OG, and even, especially, honestly, Last Jedi,
Yeah.
he would be, I would honestly say, probably 2.
Number 2. Yeah, I could see that, honestly, because he is a badass. But those
Yes.
prequels,
They take the life out of him.
Which
And just make him do dumb things.
Which, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure in the extended universe canon, there's lines about things like Yoda had a talk with the Force, and the Force told Yoda to let the Jedi Order fall apart, so he did nothing about it. But kinda, sorta, a little.
It's complicated.
Yeah,
That's the best way to put it.
So in the movies, at the very least, in the prequels, he kind of sits in the chair, he bounces around a little bit, and he drops his cane.
Yeah, it's not great. So,
I mean, the one thing I will say about Yoda is I did like he's the one character where I still at times don't really know which way I like him more, depending on like if he's how he's digitally rendered or which puppet master is controlling him. Like,
yeah.
So at least
yeah, sorry, I'm trying to log into I'm trying to log into our Instagram real quick so I can post the thing there. I forgot how to switch accounts.
You go to your profile where you can see your images. Then
Yes.
above your profile picture, there's a little drop down.
There it is. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I was a social media manager, people. So, okay, so Yoda, kind of boring in the prequels. Other great movies would make him better. Extended canon makes him pretty cool, but
Yeah, no, in a lot of the extended canon, he does a lot of cool stuff. And it just kind of sucks that we don't get that here. Because he just doesn't do anything. Like these lists, especially you'll hear me talk about the Clone Wars show.
Yeah.
Most, maybe a little bit of Rebels, and even in Rebels, they do some cool stuff with him. He would be a lot more like if people watch those, he gets a lot more depth, especially in an episode that actually involves Qui-Gon Jinn, about the Force Ghost stuff and all that stuff. It's long and complicated, and you need to watch the episodes because it's actually really good. I believe it was part of the 4th season or 5th season. And they do a lot with his character in those shows that makes him into the wise master Yoda. But the prequels don't do that. And then they throw in, like, if you watch the shows, the line of a prophecy, if read wrong, could have been. Makes more sense. But it doesn't in this, because they've put a lot of fucking eggs in that basket up until that point.
Yeah.
In the second film. You literally see them go, hey, Anakin, here's the eggs. And then he's questioning it now. Not in like a 2-year span that you see. It's all at one point, and it doesn't work. The prequels are what makes Yoda lamer.
Yeah. Okay. So, Yoda's covered. He's our number 4 choice. Let's move on to our number 3 choice for our favorite light side user. So, you're upset by this one. And I know you are. This was one that really got Dev upset. Because we talked
because
this one out.
He can't be higher on the list.
This person.
God damn it!
This person is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Especially after this viewing. And I will also stand by the notion that Obi-Wan, like, okay, Obi-Wan is really cool in the original trilogy because he dies in the first film, which, holy shit, he died in the first film. And it goes to the other 2 films. And then, he's not great in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
But he's not awful.
He like, if I were to compare him to Qui-Gon has a lot more screen time, which just makes him the worst target because he gets a lot more bad writing. And
yeah. But I will say, the 2 of them together in scenes was interesting because you got to see the Master Padawan dynamic.
A good one, too.
Yes. Because these are 2 really good actors acting off of each other. And then you get to 2. And I know a lot of people throw Hayden Christensen under the bus,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a young actor at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Younger than Ewan McGregor. Being directed by a guy who is literally George Lucas. Like, at this point, that's George fucking Lucas, the guy who made Star Wars.
Yes.
You're gonna listen to him. Because you think, maybe he knows how to direct people.
Just maybe.
Maybe. Then you watch this and you really fucking wonder why people thought that. But Obi-Wan should have never have trained Anakin. He was too young. He was ill-equipped to be a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
They have a better brother dynamic in 3, and you get parts of that, and it's a lot more interesting. Hell, I would have taken it. It would have worked better with that dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So I will still pass the idea of Anakin getting trained by Mace Windu. I think that would have been
really
better.
cool.
He would not have turned.
No, he would have been the second Jedi to master Mace's art form and
They've
not
had?
turn. Yeah,
Yeah.
and not turn. That would have been freaking sweet.
Right.
Oh.
He would have never gotten close to Palpatine, and none of this shit would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the prequels make Obi-Wan lamer in a lot of ways, but cooler in a lot of ways, because Ewan McGregor still is Ewan fucking McGregor.
Yeah.
And he just adds a nice charm to the character. And even the Clone Wars version. I love the Clone Wars version. Including the film.
Mm-hmm.
The film version, he's just so sassy. He's just like, we're here to... I'm here to negotiate the terms for our surrender. And he's just sipping on tea, being a jackass the entire time, buying time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it looks like it's time for you to surrender. Like, he's cool and smart in that, and then, like, there are bits that are really good in 3, and then there are bits that are really awful in 3. And then there's the OG trilogy. So he's literally as middle of the road out of all these characters as you could get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things that it's just like, if it wasn't for the prequels, he'd be higher.
I'm kind of hoping, like, just a little side tangent. I really hope in 9 he gets some sort of awesome redemption. Like,
Oh, that'd be great.
because
Force Ghost.
Yeah, Force Ghost, yes. And I picture him, honestly. There are many times when I just picture, you are the chosen one! Like, that was possibly one of my favorite scenes in the prequels. Like, it was a very emotionally powerful, and like, both the actors are super invested in the moment. It's just that, like you said, just 1 was okay, 2 was god-awful, and then 3 was
Like, what scene's he in?
yeah.
Ah!
Yeah, good one. What? I haven't seen a coin land on its side before.
General Grievous scene, that's that. Because there's some really, like, Obi-Wan cool moments, but really Obi-Wan dumb moments, and you're just like, the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck does Obi-Wan lose his lightsaber?
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Sorry.
Can't ride a cow. Or a horse, I mean.
He would never lose his lightsaber, especially after 2. You break shit doing that. Don't do that. So yeah, that's why Obi-Wan, again, isn't higher than other people on the list.
So, number 2. This
is when we might get a little controversial.
Did we swap these? I forget. No. Yes. No. I wrote it right down. I got this right.
I have it over here. I can tell you if you got it right.
I think I have it right.
Is it up on screen?
It's about to be. And on the count of 3, I'll have it up. 1, 2, 3. Is it Ray?
Is it Ray?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we have it.
I was about to say, this one didn't feel as controversial to me, but...
Well, it's controversial because it's above Obi-Wan and Yoda.
That, I guess, is true.
Because people love those 2 characters.
Mm-hmm.
But again, blame the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, she also was a very tough one for me to place. Like, because like I told you, just based off what we've seen in 7 and 8 alone, 7... she was too emotional, too angry. She just got too invested in something. 8, kind of the same thing, but towards the end of it, she redeems herself in ways. And her best thing is that she's a very fast learner, and she does some cool stuff.
The reason why she's high on the list for me is because out of all the characters, though, she's honestly the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a lot of mystery around her.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she's so attuned to the Force, just naturally. You don't see that often with a lot of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's in the Force, is the best way to put it. Like, she's part of it. You feel that with her character.
I mean, especially the one that really gives you that idea is her meditation scene.
Yes.
Yeah. And shortly after that, though that scene to me is pretty controversial at times because I kind of hate it a little, is the dark side scene with her. Where, like, it's cool at times, but at the same moment, it's a weird shift in tone in the movie, and it just can't quite fit.
Depends on how it pays off in 9. That is really what that scene's going to come down to.
Mm-hmm.
What did it mean? Because, like, is it clones? Is it that her parents aren't, like, that she shouldn't be looking for her parents because she needs to look inward to find her true purpose? Like, there's a lot of things you could take away from that scene, even before 9 comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we see 9, those questions will be answered about that scene, and that scene hopefully has some levity and some understanding to it.
Yes. So, yeah, but I do agree with you. She is very much an interesting character, and part of the reason, even though is I didn't like her because of her aggression, that's part of the reason why I really like her now, too, is because, like, she has more depth than some of our other Jedi and light side users. Like, she has more of a chance to change, and that's good for character development and growth, and she is mid-journey, so depending on where the dots land, and where the bricks lay and all that stuff, we could see if she deserves the second place spot or if she's going to be lower later on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These lists are up for change after 9. Like, we are like, next week we are gonna place where we think 9 is gonna go as the 12th film. Like, we're just gonna be like, because that's what we'll do going for Marvel going forward too. After Black Widow, we will just rank all of them, and from that point forward, we are just putting them in the list.
Yep.
And that's where they stay. This list, on the other hand, could change because there is technically one more film with this character in it, so it could change where that goes. So yeah, no, like, just seeing where she ends up is really interesting, and seeing what can happen with her is why she's so high on the list. So, yeah.
Soy seems to have... No.
Films are the last section.
Yeah,
we're doing
we're
light side, dark side, saber fights, then the films.
Yep. We're building up the anticipation. I'm sorry. We're blue balling you until the very end.
We're getting there.
Number 1. Right now. We're getting there right now, Soy. Number 1 of the light side users. Our favorite light side user. Probably pretty obvious if you think about it.
Yeah, given that he hasn't shown up on the rest of the list.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker.
Who else would it... Honestly, who else could it have been? Because, like, honestly, okay, and part of my reason why he's number 1 is... And this is gonna be controversial.
Mm-hmm.
But part of why
for you, Soy, in a second.
Why I think he is also really interesting is because of Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Because the concept of Luke, the concept for what they did with Luke is cool in a lot of ways, and interesting, and it changes the character and it flips things on his head, which is okay in my opinion because Star Wars hasn't done that before. Problems with it, yes, because it doesn't feel 100% earned because the way the film works. But we'll get to that later. But it's still he's fucking Luke Skywalker.
Like he is the reason these trilogies began. He it may not be. He is not in the worst 3 of the trilogies. So he gets the pass there. And plus, in his last couple of movies, he's just a legend who stands at the edge of the cliff as one movie. Then he's just a completely different person than what we expect, and then we watch him develop again, and it's good. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's Luke fucking Skywalker.
Yeah,
like
that's probably why.
Yeah.
That's Skywalker.
He's number one.
Yeah.
It's Luke Skywalker. Like after you saw us do everyone else besides Rey, like you should if you're watching this on YouTube, you should just know that it's gonna be Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, that's just where it'll be.
Okay. So with that being said, we did go a little bit out of order from how I wanted to do it, but Soy was getting here, and I just wanted to bring it up to him. So yeah, first place was Luke, second place is Rey, third place Obi-Wan, fourth place Yoda, fifth place Qui-Gon. We did.
We didn't do the other thing, right?
Yes. So we do have our versions of honorable mentions for each one of these categories. From this point on, between first and second place, I will do our honorable mentions.
Yes, I had a coin where's my normal coin? I have a coin. We could have flipped a coin to see who does this one first.
Mm-hmm. And the main reason why we put no Anakin, Soy, since you're asking, is because we were basing this off of like the film trilogy.
Films only.
Yeah, only the films.
And he's not great.
No, he doesn't like sand. And
and like he's bad. His character's bad in the films. Like, it's really bad. His best film is the Clone Wars film. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I defended Hayden in this. Don't worry, I already done it, because I'm like, hey, he was a young actor, and he was given George Lucas to trust, which was a mistake.
All right, well, hurry up and find your coin, Dev, so we can decide whose honorable mention goes first.
Just rock, paper, scissors. Oh.
On shoot?
1, 2, shoot, or 1, 2, 3, shoot?
Let's go 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Right.
2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3,
shoot.
I don't care.
Alright. First up, honorable mention for me!
Alright. Dev's honorable mention is now on screen.
Ahsoka Tano is my honorable mention. For a lot of reasons. The reason being, mainly why she wouldn't have made the list, is because we didn't count Clone Wars and Rebels. That's why she's my honorable mention, because if you watch through those two shows especially, her character is so fucking awesome in those. Mm-hmm. And like, man, she's really cool. No joke. So like
she goes from
being... watch those shows.
Yeah, she goes from being Snips to being...
Ahsoka fucking Tano.
Yeah, and a great mentor to...
to Ezra?
Yeah, Ezra.
Yeah, no, she does a great job. Even like a mentor to Kanan, who's trying to mentor Ezra, and he doesn't quite understand, and she's like, hey, when I was a Padawan 1.2, like, this is, we were both there. I can help you with this as best I can. Mm-hmm. And she does an awesome job, because she's not a Jedi, technically, at that point, either. But she's a mentor figure for them.
Yeah.
And she's just so fucking cool. So, easily my honorable mention.
Yes. And then my honorable mention... Jeez.
Literally, I talked about he was number 6, all right? Yeah. It was between him and Qui-Gon, and the reason why he was not 5 was because he's a dickhead in the movies.
My honorable mention. Tara Vizsla. He's not even in the movies.
Vizsla.
My apologies. Tarl Vizsla. Not even in the movies. That's why he's not even in the list. But he is the cool guy, the cool Mandalorian who makes the Darksaber, and he's the only known Mandalorian Jedi. So that's pretty badass. So just because...
Yeah, no, it was... He said that, I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah. So yeah, just because he's a badass guy, he makes the thing. I mean, he's not really mentioned anywhere, ever, in any of the Star Wars movies. But it's not the main list. Yeah. So, doesn't matter.
This is our honorable mention. Get over it.
I did miss out on the throne room guys, but that's okay. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dev, Any other things we want to talk about on the light side users before we head over to our dark side, where they have cookies?
God, it's weird to say, but the other list is just cooler. Going into it, the characters are.
Go ahead.
If only we could. I wasn't gonna go into Legends because that's just.
Oh.
We honestly my honorable mentions would have to be 600 people because you've got Darth Revan, who would technically be on both sides because he's been a light sider and dark side. We're not getting into Legends. That's just there's too much. Legends has too much.
Yeah. Plus, I would just consider Revan a dark sider at this point, but.
But he literally his body splits into two pretty much.
It would be a top 20 for everything just to scratch the surface. You're
really
not
would.
wrong.
And that's the thing. Which is why I'm partially glad Legends was gotten rid of when Disney took it, because it's just there was too much. I have an encyclopedia, chronological guide, and character guide just to balance all of the stuff from Legends.
Okay. All right. So,
dark side.
Dark
Yay!
side. We're going to our dark side, which at this point we're switching over, and then we're starting with number 5 on the dark side, which I don't think is. I mean, I'm a little worried about the dark side here. This one's gonna be pretty controversial. I feel even more so than the light side. So.
Oh, without a doubt, with what we did, yes.
Yes.
Even yes.
So, first off, technically last up, but first up to be reviewed and discussed is our number 5 choice, Count Dooku.
Okay, listen, I know. You're probably wondering, how is he number 5? There are other people who are cooler. And the reason being is, he's in 2 of the films. I'm sorry. It's that literally was our decision making on why he is number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And other people may not have made the list.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's in 2 of the films. He's played by Christopher Lee, and he's somewhat enjoyable. And it's just, just deal with it. He's number 5.
Mm-hmm.
What people think of us after this, I'm sorry. It's what it was.
Yeah, but
we were honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Don't hate us.
He's getting more anticipation for the later ones. Don't worry.
Well, the fact that the later ones and there's certain things that aren't on the list.
Shush, you. But basically, the reason I put him up to 5 was just, at least in 2, he is proven to be a badass that can beat both Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then additionally fight Yoda soon after and manage to get out scot-free, and then and then he has another cool fight scene in 3, which leads to a pretty important character moment for one of the characters, so, it works.
So, yeah.
Okay, next one, number 4. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna hate somewhere. Is I put the wrong graphic up there. Son of a bitch. It's the right graphic, wrong picture.
Wait, it's the wrong person. It's the right picture.
Okay. Either way, I can't get these right. There's always
It's
one
supposed to
where
be
I
Snoke.
mess up. Yes. There's always one where I mess it up somewhere.
Imagine Snoke above it.
Yes.
Who knows? Maybe after 9, this is right.
I really hope not. But yes, so Snoke. This is number 4. It's supposed to be Snoke, but I have it written as Palpatine. It's supposed to be Snoke, which for Snoke for me, he is this was supposed to be the super intimidating president, which he was in number 7, and then in number 8, he's quickly established as the most powerful Force user we've seen in a long time. So,
the dude bounces lightning off the floor to hit Kylo.
Yeah, he's not even good enough to hit directly. He has to bank shot it off the ground.
To show you just how fucking powerful he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, possibly. He really
Who
could
knows?
be, but
We'll
we'll
see.
find out.
We'll find out, okay? We're not there yet. He literally bounces like he Hux gets as soon as Snoke pops up in the hologram. Supreme Leader, boom!
My
On the
favorite
fucking
moment in that movie.
grounds.
Like, when it involves Hux, that's one of my favorite moments. Just, Supreme Leader, face into the dirt.
He doesn't even get a time to finish that sentence before it's just, BAM! In the ground, bitch! Grovel!
So, there's that. I mean, plus there's all this... I mean, there's still so much more about him that we can learn, too, in this next movie. So, there's just...
Potentially, and he's supposed to get comics, stuff like that, so there's other ways to learn about him.
So, yeah, there's that at least.
I know some people are disappointed with what happened to him in Last Jedi, but it's just like, get over it. I'm sorry, it happened. That's where we are. Better than the prequels.
Actually, I kind of like that, because when you think about it, 4, 5, and 6, the Emperor was just the Emperor. We knew nothing about him. He doesn't do anything until episode 6, until he starts throwing lightning at people. And then it's like, oh my goodness. So, Snoke does nothing, and then is a badass for maybe a couple awesome scenes, puts a lot of intimidation out there, and then, may have died unceremoniously, but it's still a really important moment in the Star Wars universe. So,
yes.
There's that. Okay. Number 3. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Number 3 is Palpatine. I can't do his laugh. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah.
Do it. Your friends are all going to die. Some of the coolest things about him, by the way, is that he's literally played by the same person in all of them. Besides technically five, if you watch the original cut of 5 extended scenes. But he's played by Ian McDiarmid. Back when fucking 6 was filmed, they put old man makeup on him for it. And then they're like, hey, you want to come back and play him again?
As a young person?
As a slightly younger version, since you're kind of older than where... You're the exact age that would kind of work for it.
Yeah. Sure, why not? Let's go.
Yeah, and I'll be the most interesting thing through the prequel trilogy. Without a doubt. Like, the scenes he's in, he chews the scenery with.
I was about to say, and I love just one of my favorite scenes with him is the opera scene where we start learning about Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Oh, it's one of the best scenes in the prequel trilogy because it adds to the universe.
Like, it's weird because coming from me who hates exposition most of the time, this is that's pretty heavy exposition scene, but like it's a really the key turning point for us with Palpatine in our eyes. Like, we as the prequel people who have watched this and not seen 4, 5, and 6 don't really know who Chancellor Palpatine is, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, he's a freaking Sith Lord and a freaking guy who can murder Jedi with no problem, and only gets and almost dies only because of Mace Windu, but then Anakin gets in the way.
And the other thing too about him that's kind of cool is that we do see, like, in 1 and 2, it should have obvious been to anyone around him that he was bad, but he's not. But we get to see him. We get to hear about the things that he's doing that are changing the way for his power, and it's kind of cool because you literally see him moving chess pieces. Like, barely. He's just like, oh, no, don't do that. Wait, what? Oh. I'm gaining so much power.
I was about to say, he is by far, I would say, the most clever out of anyone in the Star Wars universe. Like, he is slow, methodical, and when he sets his mind to something, it may take a while, but it'll get it done, and it's going to be a problem for the galaxy.
Yeah. No, and the other thing, too, is, like, the prequel trilogy is supposed to be about the creation of Darth Vader, but it is about the rise of Palpatine. Like, it would have been a way more interesting film if the film was about Palpatine. All 3 of them. Him playing both sides of it.
Yeah.
That would have been a far more, like, if it was just from his perspective, those films would have been better, in my opinion.
Also, I mean, I've heard rumor, or at least it may be rumor, it may just be wish, but people want a Palpatine movie. where it's even younger version of him as he's like becoming a Sith and also starting to gain power within the Senate, and how he's using that to get to where we see him in episode 1. So, it'd be an interesting little concept.
As long as it's not like Solo.
Yeah, as long as it's not Solo. So, there's that. All right, now are we ready for
Number 2.
number 2?
Number 2.
So,
Let me know when you hit it.
All right. Well, number 2, our second favorite dark side user is Darth Vader.
Hear us out. Okay. This is
Awkward.
Hear us out. Yeah. Awkward. I'm sorry.
But, yeah, soy.
Hear us out. Okay? And you'll have to hear us out more on number 1 as well.
Okay.
Okay, Darth Vader can easily be argued for number 1.
Yes.
Without a doubt. And that's just the way it is. But it's fucking Darth Vader. He's the definition of awesome villains.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you take into account the prequels.
Yeah, when you see where he began, how he transitions, and then we just...
3.
Yeah, in 3. It's just...
Like...
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah, so... Yeah, literally the reason why we discussed this at length. This is what we discussed at length.
Mm-hmm.
Was this list. This was the list that was me and him not even really like arguing about where we're playing these, but both of us playing devil's advocate about what we're doing. And we're putting Darth Vader at 2. Because that's just... It's the prequels. Like, literally, that's why Obi-Wan and Yoda were not higher on that list.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same problem, and that's why Vader's number 2. It comes down to the prequels, and I hate it. Even after Rogue One, it's the prequels.
I was about to say,
It's still holding back.
Yeah, Rogue One is by far my favorite scene. Has Darth Vader in it. Like, that is my favorite Star Wars scene of all time, in all Star
I know,
Wars movies.
you love that scene.
It is...
When he says, don't choke on your aspirations. I know how much you love that.
Yeah, totally. But yeah,
it's the goddamn hallway scene, let's be honest.
Yeah, the hallway scene where he's going through, plowing through everybody like nothing. It's the most badass Darth Vader has ever been in any movie, and that's the
But
problem.
then you're reminded of...
No!
You have a little too much depth in there, but...
I know, I didn't fix it, but whatever. So... Yeah.
So, honorable mentions. We'll start with my honorable mention this time around.
Fair enough.
So, my honorable mention, a little bit based off of Dev's honorable mention, but at the same time, I thought it'd be funny again. So, my honorable mention, Savage Opress.
So cool. He's played by... God, he's so cool.
But he's not in the movies, again. And he kind of has the worst name ever, so... At least in my opinion.
Yeah, but he's so cool.
And then Dev's honorable mention.
Who else could it be for me? It's Maul from Clone Wars and Rebels.
I chose the Rebels version.
I appreciate it. The reason, and this is why he got snubbed, is because literally he has no lines besides 1 or 2 in Phantom, and 1 fight scene that is like praised as being one of the best fight scenes in all of Star Wars.
Yes.
Problem with it though is that that's all he does, and he dies in that technically, and then shows up in Solo randomly, which makes no sense for anyone.
That was literally the striker. He was going to be above Darth Maul, or Count Dooku. He was going to be number 5, and they're like, but what about when he was in Solo? And he was just kind of there.
And then I thought about it, I'm like, you're right. I can't argue with that. It's like Solo, like, I love Darth Maul, obviously. But him showing up in Solo was so dumb from just the film perspective. As someone who's watched everything I can, I haven't started Resistance yet. I was waiting for 9. But he does. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Him showing up in Solo.
There, but we did, Soy.
That's the thing. We did. And it's just, Solo does so many dumb things. And then still just has the blatant regard to be average. And then throws Maul in it. It's just, it does exist. You can't deny its existence. It exists. So, that's why he didn't make the list. And, like, Phantom Menace is Phantom Menace. Like, he's cool by design. But when you think about him, he's not that interesting in Phantom. So that's why you gotta bring up Clone Wars and Rebels, but then you do that, it's not movie, it's extended. And even comics, like, it's just, that's what it comes down to.
So, yeah. So, our number one all-time favorite dark side user, as of right now, of this recording, is Kylo Ren.
Hear us out. He's got a lot of depth.
Yeah.
Like, that was the first thing. I posted the rough list. And me and Steven sat there for a second and was like,
okay, hear me out.
I was like, you're going to bring up Vader and Kylo, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm open to it. How do we do this? How do we say Kylo is better than Vader? And really what it comes down to is he has such, like, he has emotion more than any other character has. He's what Anakin should have been.
I agree with that. Like, when I see Kylo, I think of multiple things. I think of the very first scene where we see him walking out of the ship in episode 7, when he's, like, not only, he stops a freaking blaster bolt in midair, and we've never seen anybody else do that before. We see him, we then go through, and then I think of the fact that he's the one of 2 people who know how to do, like, mind interrogation, apparently. He is the one smart person in the room when the Force connections are happening. Like, he's the one sitting there thinking, asking the questions, trying to figure out what's going on.
He's asking so many questions while Rey is being brought up with so much energy. Like, you killed Solo!
Yeah, she's just struck by her emotions while he is thinking things through and trying to figure things out. He is calculative, he is thoughtful, and he is a badass who kills his own fucking father.
And, no, not just that. He's conflicted.
Yes.
You see the conflict in him. You understand that he doesn't necessarily... he's not 100% into what he's doing until the throne room scene. And then we'll discuss that more when we get to Last Jedi on the other list. But, like, you see his character, go, like, I'm gonna do this. This is who I am now. And just grab at that and own it. And from that point, that's who he's going to be.
And then, plus, I love, one of my favorite things is he gives into his emotions in the end of 8. He goes for the fatal strike, and he loses. He loses the whole battle and what could possibly be the entire war because of that. And from my thought, just based off of what's happening, he's learned. You could see it just from he walks in and watches the dice fade out of his hand. He knows he's messed up, and he's learned to not let this happen again. So,
I the dice, and I had a war flashback for a second. Sorry,
it's okay. Those dice were dumb, but
we're gonna get there. But like, yeah, no, he's of everyone besides Luke and maybe Rey, he has the most development out of everyone. Like, the only other person that I can definitively say who has changed and grown as a character more is Luke fucking Skywalker.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's our dark side list.
Yeah, do you hear us out? Does it make sense? It makes sense to us. And this is our show, so ha!
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, yeah, to go over it, Kylo at number 1, Vader at number 2, Palpatine at number 3, Snoke at number 4, and Dooku at number 5. Yes, Maul did get snubbed, but again, Dooku makes it through 2 films. Or not through 2 films, but into 2 films. And technically Maul makes it in 2 films, but that other film is Solo, and it doesn't make sense, because it hasn't been established in anything else.
Technically. Okay. Alright, so now, we're moving on. We're going to saber fights. So.
Whoa, this list!
Yeah, right? So, this one also a very hard list to choose through. I wouldn't say as contradictory or, it's conflicting or things like that. But I'll be honest, I'm disappointed in myself on this one. Only because I ran out of time with the graphics. I was going to put each one of the fight scenes in the little window and have it playing as we were talking. But I didn't have enough time to cut out those scenes from the movies. So, all we're getting is screenshots. And
That's fine.
Yeah, and our number 5 screenshot of saber fights that we love is Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul.
I'll do blue because there's a lot of blue lights in that film. Yeah. Or in that scene, because all the... Oh, no, there's kind of like pinkish lights, aren't there? And those, like, beams. From the beams in that one room.
Yeah,
there we go, pink light.
Red,
there we go.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've got Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul. The very first time we've had, like, a good, practical lightsaber fight. Very well choreographed. Super awesome.
In the prequels, yes. It's the first, like, 4C kind of Star Wars fight we get. It's the first time we get to see the Jedi at their peak. Kind of fighting. Yeah, some people say it's over choreographed, but it's still really cool, and Maul has a double-sided lightsaber. Like, come on.
Yeah. Plus, one of my favorite things about the fight too is that break in the middle when they're paused because of the guards blocking their way. We get to see the character of each and every one of them. We get to see Maul, who's just pacing and angry and just walking back and forth.
A predator.
Yes, as he's just hunting his prey and just like, I'm going to get you. We see Qui-Gon, who turns off his lightsaber and just meditates and relaxes.
Goes into the Force.
And becomes one with the Force. And then we see Obi-Wan, who's still young and new with the Force, who is conflicted with his emotions in ways where he's like, I need to be there, I need to help, but just can't, you know?
Yeah.
So we get to see this great character development, just these great character moments in this fight, which happens to just be one of the best prequel fights. So
the reason why it's not higher is because it cuts to some dumb shit during the fight.
A bit.
We can't talk about this fight without talking about the Gungan battle. Because it cuts to it 3 to 4 times during this.
Nisa think you need to calm down.
Fuck off, you stupid fucking Jar Jar.
That feels weird to feel my headphones shifting. It's like,
yeah. My hair didn't shift. I forgot I actually styled my hair today. It's like the first time in like a week that I've done that because it's just been way easier just to do it to the side. But I was like, I have a podcast today. It means a lot to me.
And here I am thinking I need to take a shower, and that was like 4 hours ago before I started working on graphics.
Hey, you different things. Different priorities, and it's fine. Your priority makes sense. No one's gonna smell you.
That's true. I could smell me. Whew, I'm just kidding. All right,
Ooh, that's a sneaky.
Fucking.
Sorry, we're talking about that fight. We're talking about guns. That's why this fight isn't higher. If it didn't cut to Anakin in the stupid space battle and fucking the Gungan fight, I would have been fine with the cutting to the Padme stuff because that is interesting because it's part of them actually like legitimately important to the plot. And not a whole bunch of luck bullshit that happens. It's actually characters doing things and being smart and outsmarting characters and not just sheer fucking luck. But we gotta deal with 2 sheer fucking luck fights during this. And it sucks, because it's also you're cut between 4 different things happening when you're really invested into 1.5 of them.
1.5 of them is a good way to put it. So yeah. Okay, so that's our number 5 fight. Our number 4 fights. And number 4 is Obi-Wan versus Anakin in episode 3.
Lava, because it's orange.
You're so
I know. I
Why not
shouldn't
make
be
it
given-
purple?
I
Because
shouldn't
there
be-
was orange and blue, and it could make it kind of purple. Lava's more important.
Lava's more important.
So yeah,
This fight.
it is emotional. It is impactful. It has some pretty interesting moments because we get to see the awesome fighting styles. We get to see the complexity as they fight each other. But at the same time, we get to see dumb shit like...
Was the gif you were going to use? Was the scene you were going to use that?
Where they're just spinning in place? Yes.
Yeah. I knew it.
Yeah.
Because you can't talk about this fight without talking about some of that shit. Or the fact when they're force pushing each other, they ended up closer to each other.
Mm-hmm. And then they flew away from each other afterwards. But...
Doesn't quite make sense. Sort of like the Rey Kylo force pull, or like the lightsaber pull that pushes them apart.
Yeah, because the power
The
of the
force
kyber
doesn't make
crystal
sense sometimes.
yeah.
Get over it, but at the same time, this fight has some really dumb moments. Like them fighting on the droids is a little dumb. And
It's really mixed because it's an awesome set piece, which could set up for really awesome moments, which we get a couple, but
it's all on green screens.
yeah. So, and plus we get at least the ending is the part that really hangs with me the most. Honestly, is you are the chosen one. You are my brother. Yeah. And
you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join it!
And all he could say while he's climbing up with one arm is, I
hate you!
Yeah. So, it's just like, God, that's honestly the part that saves this fight for me, and that's not even the fight, so.
I do that too well.
Yeah.
How many times have I watched Revenge of the Sith?
One too many.
Shut up.
It's okay. I mean, when you think about it, it's prequel. So
it's prequel, so
you have to watch the good parts of the prequels at some point, right?
Yeah.
So, episode 3? Or
episode 3.
Or not technically episode 3. So yeah.
I mean, technically we're in episode 3.
Yeah.
Now we're not.
Yeah, now we're moving on. We're going to talk about number 3 of our lightsaber fights. And that is Luke versus Vader in episode 5. Yes.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many times I messed this up. Like,
which battle of theirs that you were supposed to put there?
Yes. You have no idea how many times I messed that up. I was like, okay, which lightsaber is it? Oh, it's that lightsaber. Okay. Wait, that's the wrong... How did I even get this picture? There were so many times I messed that up, and it was so frustrating.
This is so good, though, because this is the defining point in Star Wars, is this fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is for better or worse, this fight is is why Star Wars is as vast as it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, and we'll go into it when we get to this film, but like, there's the reveal, there's the fight itself, the emotion in it, the amount of stuff that it feels like it's on the line during this fight. And it does cut away during this fight a couple times. And it did cut away a couple times in the last fight, but it's only to the Yoda Palpatine fight.
Yeah.
This fight cuts to
Ewok.
something else that's really...
No, that's not this fight, I know.
Not this one. This one cuts to Leia, Lando, Chewie, 3PO, R2 trying to get Han back, not getting Han back, trying to get to the Falcon, getting the Millennium Falcon, and then going back for Luke. And during that entire time, Luke is losing a fight. Our main character is getting fucking pwned. Mm-hmm. He's got some cool moments against Vader, but
yeah,
Vader is literally just throwing shit at him.
Mm-hmm. There are definitely clever moments where Luke has, where you think Luke can maybe do this, which makes sense. There's a lot of those moments in fights with, the underdog looks like he might actually have a chance. But then, no, it's just... This fight really is a show of force, and it's perfect for the mood and the tone set for episode 5, because episode 5 is the one where they lose. The Empire wins. Yeah. So, and that fight is the defining point. And it also leads to I guess what's technically the most quoted line in Star Wars history, which is "I am your father."
Incorrect.
Yeah, the most incorrectly quoted line in Star Wars history, but still.
It's the defining moment of Star Wars. Like, the first one's making it through the box office creates Star Wars. This is what defines Star Wars. And why, like, this movie and this scene is why people critique Star Wars so heavily.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why it's where it is.
Yeah. Alright. Number 2 is Rey versus Kylo in Episode 7.
Yes.
So, for me, this fight has a lot of interesting moments. We thought about throwing in Finn versus Kylo in the very beginning, but that was kind of thrown out there for a little bit. And then we thought Rey versus Kylo, and the reason this sticks out to me mainly...
Not Finn and Kylo not being this high up on the list, by the way, just being, like, potentially on the list,
Yeah.
but then we were like, if we knock one of the bottom two, we knock both the bottom two, because they're very similar fights, and we didn't even talk about Duel of Fates.
Yeah, we did.
Hello.
Duel Fates. And
Duel of Heroes. Like,
Yeah.
those two songs are... John Williams, you're amazing.
yeah, part of the reason why those are really up there is the orchestration and the scores, and yes. So, that being
And this
said...
one has one of the best moments score-wise as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is the scene that you almost have right there.
Yeah, just a few
The
seconds
saber
later.
going down.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden we get the... Da, 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 and it just builds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a good scene. And you can't not get chills during this fight on so many moments.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just saw Kylo kick the shit out of Finn. He's been shot by fucking Chewbacca's heavy blaster, and he's still kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else has been blasted at least yards.
Mm-hmm.
Dead by that blaster.
I was about to say, yeah, like, you see any other person who ever gets shot in Star Wars, they pretty much die from one shot. If it's not right away, it's slowly as it burns through the skin and devours you. But Kylo gets shot, manages to get through, keeps fighting, defeats Finn, gets to this point where he almost defeats Rey, and then the moment that you talk about, that's the moment that really kicks in for me. It's just the sound cuts out, she focuses on her, all silence, and then the Star Wars, the theme comes in, and then, yeah, and then she becomes a badass who can suddenly defeat Kylo Ren, yeah, and scars him, and like,
yeah,
it's so...
He's getting cocky. He's getting cocky in the fight. It's because he's winning. And he knows he's winning, so he's gonna take that moment to potentially get another person to join the Knights. Mm-hmm. He has her on her back foot over an edge, like as close to beating as he can get her without beating her. And this is his moment. His ego takes over, and he's like, "I can train you. I can do this. Mm-hmm. You need me.
You need a teacher."
And then she thinks about it, and she's been closing it off this entire time. She touches into the Force, and it catches Kylo off guard. Genuinely, like, people get pissed off at that fight, but if you pay attention to it, it does make sense. He's been shot. He's already fought one person who's not great with the saber, but still understands how to use saber combat because he was trained that way.
Mm-hmm.
Not with a saber, but, baton.
Yeah.
So it's a very different kind of fight, but it's a bare knuckle brawl style saber fight. It's the only one of those that we get really that is, other than moments in other ones, that is like so emotionally charged.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool.
I definitely enjoy that fight a lot. It's just too good, honestly.
It is.
And so. Anything else before honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions.
All right, we'll start with yours.
All right.
Your honorable mention was... Oop, it helps if I hit the right button. There we go. It was Vader versus the Rebels in Rogue One. Which technically isn't a lightsaber fight.
Which is why it's my honorable mention.
Yeah, but
it's got a lightsaber in it, and it's Vader just mauling people down.
Yes.
My God, this scene,
which is
like,
Yeah, we brought it up many times. It had to be in here somewhere, and since it's technically not a saber fight,
The other thing about it too is that the other thing for me, at least, I believe it's this scene. If you pay attention to the score,
mm-hmm.
it's a slowed down Imperial March.
I could see that.
Done, 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 done. Like it's super slow, held out notes like da da. Like it's super long.
Yeah, it's
Like,
supposed to be daunting and menacing.
It is, and it's just, and the entire time you see the rebels panicking as Darth fucking Vader walks down this hallway.
Yeah, like my favorite thing about this too is it's the cut when we see Darth Vader slashing through the hallway. He's cutting people left and right and above and down, and yeah. And then we just watch the rebels as they go from "Get me out of here! Get me out of here!" to "Get this out of here! Get this! Go! Go!" Like
that realization. I'm dead. Take this.
Yes.
Go.
Yeah. There's just the sudden shock of there's no way we're getting this alive. Get the details, get the information, and run. Like
the amount of brave men that battle has. Massacre makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
that massacre has. Holy shit.
So, yeah. I got chills talking about it and thinking about it.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
So that
I can watch that thing on repeat for years. Mm-hmm. I'm not lying.
I would watch that too. So that being said, that would have been my honorable mention, but Dev said it first, so he could take it. And
sorry.
Okay. So my honorable mention, also technically not a lightsaber battle, Luke versus Kylo in Episode 8.
Yeah, it's technically not a lightsaber battle. Because never during that fight do two sabers technically meet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
they just kind of miss.
Mm-hmm. And watching like the whole astral projection thing, and just seeing how with the simple cinematography where they just show like footmarks from Kylo, nothing from Luke, and just the build up beforehand where he gets blasted with the AT-ATs and nothing happens. Like,
and the good thing too is like if you're not noticing it, you're not noticing it. Mm-hmm. The first time I watched this scene, I didn't notice it.
Oh, the foot
it's
thing?
Yeah, the foot thing.
I did.
At first I'm like, I noticed it, but I was like, it's Luke Skywalker. He's just so light on his feet. That's what this is showing. That was my thought process, and it's a reasonable thing to think. It's Luke fucking Skywalker. He would be so in tune with the Force that he doesn't even move salt on the ground when he moves. I was technically right.
You're kinda. That's the way to put it. So, yeah, Luke and Kylo as my honorable mention. Then, number one, the best fight in the Star Wars universe is Luke versus Vader in Episode 6.
Yeah, it's the throne room, man.
Also the reason why I got the other one mixed up so much.
Because we got two Luke versus Vader.
Yes, I was like, Luke versus Vader. Wait, is it this one? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? But,
I gave one a V and one a 6. Come on!
Yeah, but I did it when I was doing the graphics.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so...
You should have.
It was my own dumb fault.
Like, this... Like, the only drawback this scene has is that it cuts to Endor just a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. But the rest of it's so good because you get Palpatine just cackling this fight on. You get Vader versus Luke round 2, which how many times do we get like a legitimate round 2? Dooku doesn't count. Like a legitimate round 2.
Mm-hmm. Like movie 5 was about one fight, and then movie 6 had the rematch, and that doesn't happen. Like, these were the climactic moments, and that doesn't normally happen. We haven't even had that ever, really. Not even 7 and 8, because there wasn't any fights between Rey and Kylo. We didn't have it. They fought together, but they didn't fight against each other. So, like, we didn't get the rematch. No. That's I'm not arguing it.
Yeah. We're gonna get it in the next one, but like.
Mm-hmm. We'll probably
where
get it a
those
couple
would rank on
times.
this, potentially. But like this is the last one defines Star Wars. This defines this defines the original trilogy. Because this battle is about redemption. Because we literally see Luke go to the cusp of the dark side. As far as he could get. His father got to that point and failed. And he sees it and says, fuck you. No.
And that changes his father's heart. And God. I mean, it really depends. Because if you go into the extended canon, we learn that Vader's been looking for a chance to kill Palpatine for years. But
a different reason.
Yeah.
Different reason to kill Palpatine is because, you know, that's what Sith do. Sith apprentices kill their masters. That's what Sith do.
Yeah.
Ever since the Rule 2, it's usually the sign of, okay, it's time for the next person to take over. And in some cases, some of the masters like, alright, happened. If I win, I knew you were a failure from the get-go. If you happen to have an apprentice right now already, then I'm going to start training them. That's happened a few times. At least in Legends. We don't know about now. Who knows? But at least legend-wise, that's what Sith do. So, like, getting to this fight, like, Vader not being redeemed, but not being redeemed in the sense of, like, Darth Vader being redeemed, but a father being redeemed to a son.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, people don't get that Vader's redemption isn't about Anakin's redemption. It's about the fatherhood redemption. It's not him, like, making up for the sins of everything he's done. The mountains of murder, including child murder, some of the worst forms of murder. It's his attempt at redemption with Luke. And for Luke, he earns it. Even after cutting his hand off.
So, yeah. I mean, I've got nothing else to say after that. Very well put.
Yeah. Fair, sorry.
Okay.
I said a lot there, but...
It's all good. So, are we ready to go over...
Yeah, I'll go over these. So, Favorite Fights number 1 was Luke versus Vader, episode 6. Rey versus Kylo in episode 7. Luke versus Vader in episode 5. Anakin versus... Obi-Wan versus Anakin in episode 3. And Obi and Jin versus Maul in episode 1.
So there you go. Those were our top 5 and honorable mentions of fights. So now,
Yes.
we are here for the main event. The main reason you all came. To talk about where these movies stand in their universe. So, let's start from the top. And by that, I mean the bottom of the barrel. Which is...
Legitimately the bottom of the fucking barrel.
Yeah.
Number 11.
Number 11. Attack of the Clones.
Hoo-wee. Sand. Apparently a lot you could say about it.
It's coarse. Gets everywhere.
Oh man, this fucking movie.
It's literally awful. It's just, when I think of Star Wars, this is the epitome of worst movie.
Somehow the one prequel movie I didn't fall asleep during. I've talked about that with Steven off screen. And the only reason being was just how, like, the other ones I watched later, and I'll admit that. This one, I think I was just so, like, brain dead I couldn't sleep during it. No, trust me, this is worse. We just watched these. This is definitively worse. Like, sorry. This is just bad.
Yeah,
There's nothing redeeming about this film.
Like, I'm trying to think of any moment in movie 2 that made me think, yeah, I like this movie. And honestly...
Maybe Yoda? Maybe the Yoda fight? That's the only...
Maybe.
It's kind of cool, because the first time we see Yoda fight, but... The rest of it is just so...
Maybe the stadium scene, where you get to see all the lightsabers strike up. Yeah, the Coliseum. But
the rest of the Coliseum scene is so dumb.
Yeah, like...
The problem.
Yeah, like, it's cool because you see so many lightsabers. But Yeah, just everywhere.
That's cool. And then nothing happens with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just see Jedi kind of waving around their things against CGI things.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just because, and plus they have the stupid scenes like Annie riding on whatever the giant cow things were, or like them just when they're vacationing.
Fucking C-3PO.
Yeah. Die, Rebel Scout! Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. And all those other dumb
This is a drag! Like, fuck you!
Yeah.
Fuck you!
Yeah.
This movie sucks on so many levels. Like, people talk about, like, oh, but the Obi-Wan Jango thing's kind of interesting. Kind of, because it's the only thing that's not, like, directly, like, forced along because of reasons. It's... But at the same time, it is, and it's like, it's not that cool. And Anakin...
It's just Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that and move
Anakin
on.
Padme. No, we can't. We have to talk about this for a moment.
I don't think we have to. I think
I
we
have
the
to.
point across.
When the person stares at you like,
I love you. You just look like
I won't
Pennywise
stare
for
at
a
you.
moment, so.
it's so bad. It's so bad. Okay, on to the next one.
Number 10. The Phantom Menace.
And a Menace. Okay, reasons why it's higher than Attack of the Clones. 1.
There's no talk about sand. I'm just kidding.
Though it's almost an equally annoying Anakin. Yippee!
Now
Things
this
that
is
hold it
pod
back.
racing.
Is that Jar Jar? It's super fucking long middle part that I fell asleep during.
I was about to say, no one, like, I don't know what the bright idea for this film was when you're like, yeah, episode 4, 5, and 6, all about, like, deep space wizards and knights. Let's transition to episode 1 about politics and...
It could have been interesting,
It could
but the
have
problem
been.
is you go from a somewhat interesting thing with the pod race scene, which is one of the best scenes in the trilogies, or in the prequel trilogy, and then the movie just stops. Literally, the first time I watched this recently, it was pod race scene, I got to Curzon, and then I fell asleep, because it was late, and my brain just instinctively went, nothing is going to happen for the next, like, until this. Maybe you can nap.
And you did.
And then I woke up the next morning. It's not good. That entire part. Like, it has some cool sort of world building parts, but the Jedi Council's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
They're dumb. You don't understand what's happening there. The politics are, like, kind of could be interesting, but it's not the main plot of the film, but it is the main plot of the film. The problem with this film is there is no main plot. Also, who's the main character of this film?
It lays the groundwork for Padme robbing the cradle, sure. But is it Padme robbing the cradle, or is it Anakin going for the cougar? Like...
We're not even going to discuss that, because it gets worse when we start discussing that. Because then I go back to talking about Attack of the Clones, and I don't want to do it anymore. We're past it. You hit the button. I'm not talking about it.
Okay, we're not talking about Attack of the Clones.
No, the problem with this film is, tell me who the main character is. It's not Anakin, because he gets introduced in the second act.
I was about to say, I'd probably lean in. The closest to a main character would be Qui-Gon, would be my guess.
No,
Like-
Obi-Wan is not the lead in the prequel trilogy. He's not the lead perspective in any of the films. Because this film has, maybe Qui-Gon is the lead perspective. More than likely Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm.
But he dies at the end, so who are we supposed to be carried with through this trilogy?
I get you. So
It's a problem. Like, because Qui-Gon being the lead for this film then stumps the rest of the trilogy, because who are you supposed to latch on to next? He died. The other problem, too, is you go from this film to Attack of the Clones, which has a 10-year time jump.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that We also lose the villain of this film, by the way, until Solo, which we'll get to. The problem with that is that then when we get to 2, you kind of have to talk about both these at the same time in a little bit in some ways, is that we don't have an established villain. We have Palpatine, sort of, in the shadows.
Yeah, we see a projection of him once, and we hear his voice
with the
once.
hood, and you don't quite know it's him. You know it's him. But if, let's say, this is your first time watching him from that point, you might not notice it, because he does a good job of doing the "This is my apprentice, Darth Maul." Because Ian McDiarmid is awesome. We get a little bit more of that in this, but the plot isn't there. The plot happens, and there's no one that you're really guided with besides maybe Qui-Gon, but he dies, which then hurts 2 even more, because the villain dies as well. So that hurts 2 even more. That's why 2 is lower, by the way.
I was about to say, 2's just a confusing thing. 1 had promise, but they just kind of ruined it with how they told the story.
Yeah.
So, I was about to say, that's a simplified way to say it, but...
It is. Long.
So, yeah, I'm trying to speed us up a little bit here, at least for these earlier ones. So, don't worry. It's just, we took a little bit longer through the other stuff than I thought we would. So
that's fair. I expected this to be a longer episode.
I did too, but I wasn't thinking quite as long as I'm thinking it's going to last. So...
Whoa, you jumped ahead.
Yeah, moving on to the next movie.
You went...
I know.
Fuck you! Go to 9!
Number 9, Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, no, I agree. If Dooku had been the villain in number 1 and lived, would have been cooler. And, like, hey, that would have made the episode 3 kill even cooler, because that would have been Anakin getting avenged for the person that he first had as a mentor. Again, there's so much wrong with this trilogy. There's so many issues. And 3 is the best of the prequels, and has some really cool things, like at the beginning, the Starfighter stuff and all that, and some of the stuff on the ship when they're getting Palpatine, but the ray shields happen, and it's kind of lame. The Battle of Dooku's kind of lame. The space battle is kind of cool, and then the movie does the same thing. At least it gets it out of the way earlier, and just stops.
Yeah, it stops, but then it does weird, like, it does some pretty interesting things where it does, like, Order 66, but then it does stupid stuff like Grievous. It does, like...
Yeah, it stops, but, like, there are some interesting moments in there, like, oh, I'm going to go to Kashyyyk to talk to the Wookiees, which has the most blatant fan service for no reason, and more pisses people off, because I love Chewbacca. He's my favorite non-Jedi, is Chewbacca, because it's Chewbacca.
Yeah.
But, like, even me, I'm like, dude, this is gratuitous.
I was about to say, the fact, like, it's just, the big problem is number 3 kind of establishes that the galaxy is really small. And,
yeah.
Like, you would think that our main characters would not know each other the way they do. Like, I would think that Yoda doesn't know Chewbacca. And then I would think that, like, this person doesn't know that person, but it just changes.
Like, yeah, there are certain times where, like, I understand having, like, running into certain characters again makes sense. But, like, when it's just so blatant that Yoda knew Chewbacca, like, it's kind of annoying. The other thing, too, is that, like, the other problem with this movie is that Anakin still kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be our protagonist through this film, who turns into the antagonist.
He's supposed to be complex, and he's just not.
No, he's not. I want to be on the Jedi Council.
It's a dishonour.
We grant you we permit you onto the council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. Just service. It's just he's kind of annoying. So, yeah.
Plus,
it's just
the thing that, like, puts the final nail in the coffin for me is, she's medically fine, but she's dying. She just is lacking the will to live.
I mean, people will throw theories that, like, Sidious was taking her life force to keep Vader alive. But the problem with that is it's not said in the film! And that hurts the film. Just being like, she's lost the will of life. Because, like, they completely sideline Padme in this film, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Entirely. Oh, you're pregnant and on the side. That is what she is in this film. Like, and it's a huge disservice to her character and to Natalie Portman as an actress. And it's just, like, we discussed potentially having this higher, but at the same time, like, the next film has more interesting characters.
Mm. And more interesting set pieces, and at least better graphics, and...
in a sense.
Mm-hmm. In a sense. So...
Yeah, and the problem, again, the reason why these are also so low is just they are
bad prequels.
CGI, like you can use CGI for world building, yes, but when everything is on a fucking green screen, it's noticeable and it kind of sucks.
Step on this green rock, to step on that green rock, to step on that green rock, and then when we put it through the computers, it's going to be this guy's head, that weird building, and then that tree.
Redeeming features, though. John Williams' music throughout this entire thing is amazing.
Yeah. And we get the dual heroes, so.
Yeah, and Duel of Fates in the last one, so. Not the last film, not in 2, but the last one we ranked.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
So.
Preface.
Okay. So, number 8. Number 8.
Clone Wars!
It was released. It was a movie that came out to theaters. Technically counts. Better than the prequels.
Yeah.
Like, this one...
I had it higher on that list the entire time, and Steven didn't want to watch this.
Yeah, like, this one on the list for me is here because of technicality. Like, it's because Dev's my co-host, and he wanted it here, so technically it's here.
Hey, you could have fought me on it, but you didn't.
I didn't. I allowed it.
Because there really was no argument, now was there?
Yeah, like, that was literally our only qualification for this show, was it has to be movie-related, and we wanted it to be released to theaters. This did. So, just gotta deal with it. And the worst part about it is it's better than the freaking prequel movies. It's an animation made for kids. It's supposed to be simpler. It's supposed to be easy to follow. And it's somehow more enjoyable.
It's because it's easier to follow. And the characters have more time to breathe. And they're enjoyable for the most part. Ahsoka has some less enjoyable things about her because she is kind of just...
She is
Snips. And it is it's also the reason why she's my honorable mention is because, like, this movie doesn't do her justice. Watch the shows. But, like, I mean, and Asajj Ventress was the bottom of our list. Technically, Dooku makes it through 3 films, almost. If you count this, too.
True.
Ha! Surprised you. Yes, this is on the list. I said it at the beginning of the show. But, yes, Dooku makes it through 2 films and then dies in the 3rd one. He's in this film, and he's actually kind of cool, because he's doing the dark, what am I doing? And then you see him talking to Palpatine. You see the Palpatine stuff. You get some actually interesting Padme stuff doing stuff when we actually get to her. You get the Jedi doing stuff that actually makes sense. You get some cool clone development. Holy shit! I actually care about these clone troopers. Why?
That's one thing I love. That I do like the Clone Wars TV shows, especially when we get the clone-centric episodes.
Oh yeah, dude, this is the best.
Yeah. So this show and this movie that created the show definitely lit a spark that will... What's the saying? It'll light the spark that'll drive the fire of the rebellion or whatever. That's kind of what happens with the animated movies. This movie was the spark that lit the fire to the animated TV shows. And...
yeah. And it did the job.
Yeah, and it's cute, it's fun, it's entertaining. It has some pretty emotional moments, at least... Well, not really too emotional, but, yeah. Sorry, someone in the background.
Yeah, that was kind of... only drawbacks is some of the animation isn't as good as the show, and I hate saying that, and I do have to compare it to the show a little bit to make you understand that. Is you watch the show and then rewatch this, you're like, ooh, that animation's not as good as I remember it being. And it just isn't, and it kind of sucks that it's not, but it is what it is. That's the only reason why it's it is where it is.
Mhm.
Can't really put it higher because the rest of the films are actual films with plots that, for the most part, make sense.
Mhm.
And actually do things that would make them a decent movie. Sorry, I need to put my noise gate up just a little bit.
It's like that was noticeable.
So, again, this movies more than the prequel movies. That's why it's here.
Sad, but true.
Yep.
Number 7. Solo.
Hear us out.
I don't think, like, don't get me wrong. I don't think this needs to hear us out. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie. It's right in the middle, I'd say. It's pretty much average when it comes to what Star Wars could be.
The problems with it is, though, it's called Solo. And
Yeah.
just that word alone adds to why it doesn't work.
Mhm.
What's your name? Han. Last name? Don't got one. Or people?
Have
Got
none. Haven't got any. Solo.
Solo.
Yeah, like that's the worst part about this film to me. Is like Han Solo was this enigma. He was a complex character in fourth movie when he shot first, and then later on volunteers and becomes one of the saviors of the rebellion. Like that's a huge change of character, but this doesn't establish the dark bounty hunter
Rogue. The rogue.
Yeah, that is Han Solo. This is just literally Han Solo goes from this interesting, mysterious character to a guy who never got over his college years and is just living in the past of, yeah, I did this one cool thing once that lasted for a day, and that's my entire claim to fame. Yeah. I once threw the touchdown throw in my my high school team's college state game.
Like, and don't get me wrong, the Kessel Run scene is actually one of the best scenes in the entire movie.
Absolutely.
And like Lando Calrissian, played by Donald Glover, is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Emilia Clarke is kind of just there.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson is fucking amazing.
Paul.
Paul Bettany.
Yes, he is an example of how an actor can literally change what they do with a movie, because initially the lines on his face never did anything, they were just there, but because how emotional Paul Bettany got into the scene, they're like, we can do something with this, and like just because of his power they changed the way the character reacted and moved.
He's a really good I'm evil villain.
Mm-hmm.
And then this film also does a lot of dumb with Han Solo, and then it does the unforgivable sin. It already had a couple unforgivable sins. Solo, the dice that are so stupidly important in this film for no reason. Like they are drawn attention to so much. You know what would have been even better about those? If Solo just had them, and when he got the Falcon, like he just kind of had them with him. They were his lucky charm. Let's say he just carried it with him. He didn't give it away or anything but it wasn't drawn to so much, and so important. But it was just kind of there. You just noticed that he brought it with him on the vehicles. Like, if he didn't get the Falcon, if he wasn't in the Falcon so early in the movie, maybe that's just what he put on all the fucking ships.
If he kept getting on different ships and he put it up there, yeah, that would have been cool. But no, that was something that I thought was weird too. It's like that's the one piece of character device that we still don't have any backstory behind, other than that they're his Lucky's dice that he just brings with him. So
that's also one of the sins.
Yeah,
but the biggest sin.
So, yeah. I'm trying to think of other things that are dumb. I don't like the pilot's an okay dude, but overall I feel like he's an odd character to have in the movie, so he feels out of place to me.
He's cool, but he just, if he had more time.
Mm-hmm. There, let's see, moments that I thought were interesting. I definitely like the train scene, because that one sticks out quite a bit for me, honestly. Especially the explosion, because that's just freaking badass.
Did you know where they got inspiration for that?
Yeah, slow-mo guys.
Hey.
So yeah, that was awesome. I love the Kessel Run. It's just that
the cardinal sin.
Yeah.
The red sin, you can call. because it's it's about the Crimson Sun,
Mm-hmm.
Crimson Dawn, which when this happened, I was like, Crimson, I get it now. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. When it was just like the Crimson Dawn, I was like, okay, that sounds really interesting. A gang in the Star Wars universe we haven't really heard of before, but they're supposed to be very menacing, and it's Darth Maul. Okay.
Like, I defended it a little bit during the episode. I'll talk about it because it's cool to see Ray Park voiced by Sam Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
The two people who are Darth Maul, definitively. Problem with this though is that it's not really explained why he's there. And to anyone who hasn't watched Clone Wars, at least, is something like, wait, the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
How? This doesn't make sense. You know what would have made sense for people? Hey, show the mechanical foot, show a red hand maybe on the chair rest, tapping his finger, show the mechanical leg, and have Sam Ryder voicing it.
So say, yeah, you don't need just the fact that they show so much of him is the worst
And then
part.
he turns on the fucking lightsaber.
Yeah.
It's gratuitous.
I'm gonna threaten you via hologram, which we know all the menacing Darksiders can kill people through holograms. So, it's
the unforgivable moment, especially given that for the people who were following the Darth Maul story, his story in Rebels had concluded. Like, we knew where his story starts and ends, like, definitively, and like, yeah, we know where it does for other characters too that we've gotten. We've known their endpoints at least, but we know in a lot of ways where we were introduced to Maul, and if you watch the shows, where it ends for Maul. And it's a beautiful story, and then they just throw this in after Rebels finish that, and it doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, Darth Maul himself, just in the extended world, is an interesting thing because we see him die in Episode 1. Then we find out he's not dead; he's alive.
Alive through his just sheer hatred for Obi-Wan and Palpatine.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then he gets spider legs, and then he's brought back to life, and then he finds his brother, and then
well, he doesn't find his brother. His brother finds him.
Yeah, either way, and then they end up working together, and then he's supposed to die again because of Palpatine, and then
no, he never dies in that.
What from what I saw from it, because I haven't seen that episode, what I came to understand was Palpatine killed Savage. He went after Maul, and then as they started fighting, that was the last of the scene. And then
yes,
it's
just
fair. It's supposed to be alluded to that he died.
We get a conclusion to that in the next season when that happens.
Okay. Yeah.
And through comics and stuff like that. And then he shows up in Rebels, and you're like, oh shit, he's in Rebels.
Yeah. So like, even if you don't get the comics or you haven't seen past that one fight, it's like, oh, he's died a second time. Look at that. And then what do you know? He's in Rebels. So it's like there's just too much in Solo. And it ruins.
Yeah, it ruins Maul. It ruins Maul on a lot of levels.
And it ruins Solo. And it ruins. Let's see what else. It doesn't really ruin Lando. Lando's cool. It explains more of the backstory to the Millennium Falcon, which I guess is cool, but it's a ship that has its own character, so it doesn't need more backstory. It's just an unneeded story, but at the same time, it's better than the other movies.
knowing Wookiee is kind of lame.
Yeah, I don't like how that was explained. Which it just wasn't. He just knew it.
I know a little Wookiee, okay?
Yeah.
Just work with me.
Made sense when he was an Imperial officer. Now he's not.
Oh, no, without a doubt. Donald Glover's charismatic as fuck, and he plays the character perfectly.
But
exactly how you would think a young Lando would be.
That was actually kind of funny. That the Donald Glover hiring was a very, a big point of contention from what I heard. Is because what people liked... It was a mixed bag of Donald Glover, because some people liked that he was the perfect young Lando, and he played Billy D. Williams perfectly, essentially, at least what some people thought. But then other people were disappointed because it was just Donald Glover being Billy D. Williams. And they're like, he wasn't Donald Glover, he was Billy D. Williams. That's not the person I wanted to see on film.
But he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's who he's supposed to be. Like, sorry. He's being an actor and doing the job he was paid to do.
Yeah, so, great job being an actor. So, there's that. All right. Next movie. I think we've covered enough on this one.
Probably the most controversial movie.
The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Is our number 6.
And
So, things that stick out to me on why this is a good movie would be Kylo Ren, would be maybe the very last battle. I'd say that. I would probably give another good moment to how do I explain this? Maybe the throne room fight scene if you don't look into it. If you don't really thoroughly
okay, but you can do that with any fights. Is the problem too? Like people nitpick that fight, but if you nitpick fights, you can nitpick any fight.
That's true.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like that is a problem. That if you nitpick a fight, it's just what happens.
Yeah, true.
Like, yeah,
So-
it's not perfect, but if you go to other major films, sometimes that just happens.
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
no worries. So like, when I think of this movie, I think of maybe those things. But then I also think of other things like blue milk.
Hey, that scene is.
It's funny,
All right.
but it's funny. It's an okay scene, but it's unneeded. It's
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It's very Star Wars, in my opinion. You want to know what also I think of on the positive side? Is concepts.
Oh, yeah.
This film has some of the best concepts out of all of the Star Wars. Because its concepts definitively almost change what Star Wars is.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, its concepts also go on the negative side because they don't follow through with a lot of them. Like
yeah, like this movie, I enjoyed it quite a bit, honestly, because it was a different take on Star Wars. It took some of the tropes that we knew and it subverted them and it changed them. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people hated that. I kind of appreciated that about the movie, but at the same time, I could see why a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't the Star Wars that people liked and know to love. And like, it's weird. This movie, I flip every single day when I watch it. Sometimes I hate it, sometimes I like it, and it.
does it really subvert anything if it still ends exactly how a Star Wars movie would normally end? That's my problem with it too. Like, it ends with the character on the light side ending up on the light side, and the character on the dark side ending up on the dark side. Like, it plays around with the idea of those things, but it doesn't do anything with the ideas. It flirts with ideas. That's the problem with this film. It flirts a lot with ideas, and then doesn't do anything like that. Oh, hey, the Kando Bite scenes, okay? I can talk about this real quick, because they suck. But hey, some of the concepts in them really make sense in the world of Star Wars. Like, what about this kind of stuff? But then you think about it even further, and how they perceive those things, and they're really lame.
Like, for me, just the whole Canto Bite thing. You brought that up, and I instantly started thinking about fuel economy. And I was like, this is silly that this is the first movie where we had to think about rational problems. Like, we just don't have enough fuel to keep running. But that's the problem as well. Like, that's an interesting thought that this is like a real problem that they would have in this universe. But just because of where they put it, in a mainline feature film and such a small little plot point that's never really been super important in Star Wars before.
No, it hasn't. And the reason why it's important, though, is because of... Honestly, they've had an escape thing the entire time being, hey, just jump to light speed. That's been the thing.
Yeah.
And this is the first film that you can't do that. You can't just escape to light speed. And suddenly, like, the idea is that you, like, if you think about it, like, I think the fuel thing is kind of lame because, like, critiquing it is kind of lame in the sense of, like, it shouldn't be something that needs to be explained, that these things need a fuel to run. It's like, hey, why don't these characters go to the bathroom? We don't need to see them go to the bathroom to understand that they probably go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I get that. But, yeah, so...
We don't need to see all the ships. We've seen so many things coupled to ships that obviously one of them is more than likely fuel. So, in my opinion, it's a weak critique because it's a critique that if there are better things to go after this film for.
Yes, like when I think of that though, like I only partially agree with it because like it's an interesting concept to think that resource economy is something that we've never really thought about in Star Wars. Like before 1, 2, and 3 were like, well, what's the politics like? And we're like, well, now we know. 4, 5, and 6 was this, and then now we have 7, 8, and 9, where some of it's like resource economy, which could have been cool in concept, but I feel like it would have worked better in like a TV show episode. So I'm not really trying to critique. I'm not trying to critique it and say that it's bad. It's just that in this moment, I'm just saying that that's part of the reason why it's not. It's just because that plot point itself could have been something more. Could have been something more climactic, something more exciting.
Well, okay,
I don't want to get into a full review and like fight here.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And that was my opinion. I'm not gonna change my opinion.
No, that's fair. That's fair. My opinion on it is that, like, in order to make the hyperspace jumping interesting, instead of them just jumping from place to place to place to place, is that the way it looks? It works is more of a wormhole travel. Yeah, but they don't really do that. That's never been how they travel in Star Wars. It's always just been that they go really fast and just move there. It hasn't been wormholes. Trust me, things like that do exist, and they don't work like that. Not in Star Wars, at least.
Yeah, we're kind of getting off track with the standings thing, but
sorry. Okay. My opinion on it is that, like, it's more of it should just be common, like, thing. Like, yeah, obviously these things have fuel, so if like suddenly you could be tracked through light speed, that's gonna bear a problem if you had to just quickly evacuate a base and you weren't able to take all of your ammo and everything that you would normally have with you. Okay, being hunted by this giant fleet suddenly is an issue. Where it does kind of fall apart is the fact that they're faster. Doesn't quite make sense. But that's kind of where it starts falling apart. That's the part that I have problems with. It's just the speed problem. The fuel, I don't think, is the issue because it creates an interesting situation of that. Hey, there is a timer on this.
Cool.
Now.
Okay. Is there anything else about movie 8, number 6 that we want to talk about?
Although, kinda should just talk about the plan.
Should have just talked about the plan. I mean, yes and no. She's both in the right and also not at the same time. Like, sure, she can discuss the plan, but she also knows that this guy, if he doesn't like the plan, he's not going to listen. So what's the point?
No, fair, but at the same time, it doesn't, like, being completely in the dark with everything, even to us, still kind of goes like, so what the fuck is she bad? Is she bad?
Oop,
like,
I hit the wrong
button. To us,
button.
we don't see anything. You know what I mean? To us, we don't see any plan then, which is the problem. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I personally, like, I don't really agree with that 100%, but that's also why this movie isn't really any higher. It's just middle-of-the-road movie where we could argue about plot points still all day and what's good and what's not.
And we probably both would put this exactly where it is.
Yeah. So with that in mind, let's just move on to our next film here. We're hitting our top 5.
Top 5!
Our number 5 best Star Wars movie is A New Hope.
No. It's 6.
Alright. It's number 6.
It's Return of the Jedi.
Apparently I was in a hurry.
Fair enough. You're on number... There we go. No, wait. Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I'm just gonna leave it. We're on number 5, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Pretend this says a Return of the Jedi.
I'm not changing it. It's number 5.
It's Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Reasons being, the entire first part of the film doesn't technically need to be as long as it is. And Ewoks.
Correct. God, I hate having to constantly deal with me being dumb. Well, now I'm just frustrated and don't want to talk about it and want to move on to the next movie. Just so we can get the bad graphic off the screen.
Fair. I'll go through quick. Best moments. Again, it has one of the best. It has our favorite fight. It has, it has some cool stuff. Sort of. It's the weakest of the original trilogy. That's why it's lower. Out of the episode 6 is. I'm gonna keep prefacing that for anyone who for some reason.
Don't look at the visual. Ignore the visual. This is an audio podcast right now, not a video podcast.
Sorry,
Chich.
episode 6 is just the weakest of the prequels, originals. Sorry. So that's why it's top 5, of course, but not top 3. So because there are films we enjoy more.
I mean, and it kind of sucks. Like, it was supposed to be the big ender for everything, and it does kind of end the story a little bit, but whatever. It just, endings are hard to do, so you can't end them perfectly, and Star Wars is another one of those victims a little bit, where it's a little muddied in the landing, but it's fine. It's fine. Alright, I'm getting the bad graphic off. We're on episode 4. Force Awakens.
We're not episode 4, but number 4.
Number 4.
Episode 7.
7. The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Too many numbers in this podcast. I can't comprehend anymore.
Sorry. Force Awakens is our number 4. It's a return to form for Star Wars. God, there's so many moments that just make me love Star Wars. And it feels Star Wars. It's Star Wars. And yeah, like some people complain, they just did another Death Star. But like, let's be honest. There's so much good in this film that like I'm cool with Starkiller Base.
Like,
sorry.
Plus, Starkiller Base is far more devastating than what the Death Star's ever done. Like, the Death Stars maybe, according to what we've seen in movies, destroyed 1 planet and 1 city.
2 cities. Not 2 cities, but like sort of 2 cities. Yeah. There was the mining incident on Jeddah and the Scarif base.
Scarif base. I forgot technically Scarif base. So yeah, 2 cities and then 1 entire planet. While Starkiller Base destroys an entire system of planets.
And a star.
Yeah. So Starkiller Base is far more menacing and powerful than anything that was made before. It has some this movie itself has some really interesting moments, like one of our favorite fights. It has some interesting plays on what could have happened with the Force and what happens with the Star Wars universe. It leads up to it's a really interesting quest that leads us on through the movie, and like the ending scene feels really good to see, even if it doesn't quite pay off in the next movie. But like,
it's got some really good moments.
And plus it has the advantage of just being made in the modern era, so the effects and the definition are just a little bit better.
And the practicality of some of those effects. My God.
I mean, nothing beats old school original Star Wars practical effects, but VFX and the stuff that they do in this movie are quite good.
Well, the amount of real stuff they did for this film is just so cool.
So yeah. And then I'm trying to think of other things specific about this movie. Like,
Rey's interesting, Finn's interesting, Poe could literally probably walk up to anyone in the galaxy, say, "How you doing?" and get laid.
BB-8's cute.
And practical. Kylo is like set up as, he's a little moody, but he's also kind of interesting because you're like, man, what is this deal?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of fucking cool.
Yeah. And, I mean, we don't have to defend ourselves. This is our movie list. We can do whatever we want with it.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, here's movie number 3. Rogue One.
This movie is really good.
I love Rogue One.
Rogue One is so good.
Like, it is my favorite thing about Rogue One is the fact that it is the first Star Wars movie that doesn't have anything to do with any of our main cast of normal Star Wars.
Nope.
And it's a whole movie. Like, it's literally an hour and a half to 2 hour long festival that can literally be described in 2 sentences, which it is in episode 4. So, like,
This is how you do something that's, like, kind of an interesting discussion and make it into a full-length film and go, wow, this is cool.
Mm-hmm. And it brings in so many new interesting things to the world, like the monks who used to be on Jedi, who aren't really Jedi, but are also Force sensitive, and also the blind monk himself is like the most interesting character I feel in this movie. So, at least he's my favorite.
They fixed a plot hole in this film.
What?
They built an entire film around fixing a plot hole from the first one that they didn't really need to do, but they did such a good job of making it like, wow, that actually makes sense why that was so vulnerable then. Because Jyn Erso makes himself, he learns to lie to make himself invaluable, and then starts going, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a fucking vent. Fuck you, this is happening. Because I understand the energies of what this Death Star can do, so you're gonna believe me. And I made myself invaluable for the entire creation of this thing. Hello, here's your weakness. It explains, something like, well, why was that vent connected to the main reactor? That doesn't make sense from a standpoint. Because also that vent would be blowing air out. Hey, the dude built it so that had that there. That's a pretty... That hole that people, like, sort of complained about or joked about is gone. Someone had a donut and took a donut hole and put it in the donut.
Perfect. Except that donut hole is actually an even smaller donut with a tinier hole inside. Sorry, you got me. Nice out.
Go back.
Sorry. So yes, yeah, I enjoy Rogue One. It has it's an interesting take on what could be a Star Wars movie. It has interesting characters. It gets rid of whole plot points, a whole plot hole. It introduces some interesting things, and it shows us like some of the main bad guys who we never even got to know before. So, at least in the movies. So, like, I can't really complain about this movie, honestly.
Yeah, you can. I will say, the only complaints that you could potentially have, in my opinion, is maybe we can get more character development with some of the characters, but at the same time, I'm like, it's cool that we don't. I'm fine with that. And that CGI Tarkin and CGI Leia aren't perfect, but at the same time, CGI Tarkin did have permission from the family to do, and Carrie Fisher gave permission to do her in that film. So, which was a weirdly emotional moment for me, because I watched this right after she had passed away in theaters, and then she showed up in the movie. I was like, and I didn't expect it. I'm like, oh my god, it's Carrie Fisher. I'm getting teary-eyed. And yeah, it's not the greatest CGI, but like, especially given how it does, and this film literally rolls perfectly into A New Hope. Like, when you watch this, your brain just instinctively goes, I should watch A New Hope after this.
And pick up right where this left off.
Yeah.
So, like, I agree with you. It gets you right into the good movie. Like, maybe, just maybe, I might start with Rogue One if I were to start the trilogy again. Again. Like, Rogue One, and then 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
The perfect into it.
Yeah, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, Solo, 7, 8, 9. I'm ignoring Clone Wars.
Unless you're going to do the full binge watch.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, this perfectly rolls into A New Hope. Which
would have been great if
enough.
I did my graphics properly. Which, I have Return of the Jedi here as number 2, but I'll change it
But technically, it's A New Hope.
Yeah.
New Hope is technically here, and Jedi is technically...
yeah. I misread my I's and my V's. I apologize.
So flip those. It happens.
I'm mad at myself.
It happens. Don't worry. So A New Hope is our number 2. Obviously, it's the movie that started it all. Like, without this, we don't have Star Wars. We don't have, like, it's our Iron Man for MCU list. Mm-hmm. This movie is number 2. It's even higher than where we would have put Iron Man on that list, because it still holds up. Like, holy shit. Yeah. The only problems I have with this film are just the amount of shit that they've thrown in the special edition.
God, I hate that. I do hate the special editions now. I would honestly spend a good fortune on a Blu-ray version of the theatrical release of this original Star Wars movie. But
yeah,
but it doesn't exist.
There are places that it maybe not legally exists, but it exists. But like, that's the thing. This movie is just it's crammed with a lot. It has the most extra things added to it since it's released, which doesn't make it better. Like the scene with Jabba shouldn't have been there, because it's the exact same thing as it's the exact same lines as it was to Greedo. We have the same scene twice. I know we're bitching about this film, but the other thing too is though it's just so good. It establishes Star Wars. This is what made Star Wars.
It really is, and one of my favorite things, honestly, is just the extremes that they go to. They take us to new worlds, new sets, new places, new characters, new things. Like, it's just, this movie started sci-fi and fantasy. Like, it kicked off a lot of what became modern pop culture. And
well, also it kicked off modern sound design.
Yeah, and just the things that they did, like just technically that they did, using puppets and camera work, and it's honestly, the work that they did on this movie really shows, and yeah, I love it. Especially because any other movie where you take me, say, like, even recently, the direct example that I can think of is maybe Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw, where we start in one place, then we go to another place, then we go to another place, then we go to another place. I didn't like that. Too many places. Star Wars movies, this one specifically, we go from one planet to the next planet, to the next planet, to the next place, and it's like, dude, show me more. I want more of this galaxy, more of, like...
I will say the other one's disadvantage is it's on Earth.
Yeah, but still, even that, like, even other movies, like Rambo, where we're U.S., Mexico, U.S., Mexico, U.S., or Logan, where we're at this place, then we're in the forest, then we're in the city, then we're in a casino, and it's like, yeah, like... Those are good movies, but just the sheer amount of locations.
Did you just call Rambo?
No.
Last Blood?
A good movie.
Okay.
No. I was more related to talking to Logan that it's a good movie, but...
Fair enough. I know what you meant, but I wanted to make sure that people didn't think you said that about Rambo. Last Blood. But also, the thing is, like, this movie is Star Wars. Also, fun fact, Imperial March isn't in this film.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know, not once is the Imperial March in this. So,
that's a fun little fact.
Yeah.
I honestly have to think about that again because I didn't notice, so I'd have to double check. Yeah.
But that's like, again, that just shows just how much this franchise was able to grow and stuff from here too. So, like, man, this movie deserves the number 2 spot.
Yes.
Spot.
And that's why it is.
Now for our honorable mentions.
The Star Wars Christmas. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no honorable mentions here except for
the Clone Wars.
Yeah, Clone Wars and Rebels. Watch the cartoons.
I'll let you know when I get through Resistance if it's worth the watch as well.
Okay.
That one is a little more cartoony looking, but we'll see.
So that being said, we're on our last one. Number 1. The
what
best.
Else could it be?
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
I'm sorry. Like, when I made this list, I'm like, I made my dummy list, and it's kind of similar to this. How we ended up with this list. Where did I put my dummy list? Yeah, no, like, almost verbatim is exactly how I had it. Other than a couple things were wrong below the top 5. The top 5 were exactly what I predicted. Here we go with. So this one being number 1 was kind of like the unsung like truth going into this was yeah, Empire Strikes Back is number one.
It's honestly the big thing for me that makes it number one is the fact that the Empire wins. It's one of the first movies, especially in a mainline series, where it's just like we have all this build up to these moments that are like, we can do this, we can get through, we can survive, the heroes always win, and that's just not what happens. We literally, like, it gets to the point where someone essentially dies. He doesn't really, but like, it's someone dies, another person almost dies. It's hopeless. It's just the Empire strikes, and it's clear that they are in charge for a reason.
They are back.
And like the stories that it tells are great. The characters that they introduce, like Lando, are amazing. We get these fun moments where, like, when CP3PO is destroyed in this movie, it's actually entertaining. And so
Yeah. Also, like, the other thing too is, with this film, the reveal. I don't remember a time in my life where I didn't know Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a point in my life where I have that memory, and part of me, if I ever do have kids, is gonna make sure they do have that memory. I'm not gonna let them watch Star Wars until they're like 4, maybe 5, so they have that moment in their memory of being like, So, with that being said, though, my God, it's the fucking reveal.
Mm-hmm. Like, even the fact, like, I love seeing, like, behind the scenes pictures when they show, like, because there's one where it shows Carrie Fisher and name
Harrison Ford?
No.
Oh, Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, thank you. When it shows Mark Hamill learning that their characters are brother and sister, and it's like, oh my goodness! And then they learn that Darth Vader is the father, and they're like,
yeah, that would have been sets for 6. This one has one of my favorite behind-the-scenes stories.
I mean, still, even 5 and 6, like, just the behind-the-scenes moments, it's just like, they're great.
Yeah. One of my favorite behind-the-scenes moments is Mark Hamill talking about the fact that, like, hey, the line you're going to hear isn't the line in the script, and the line you're going to be told through the actor who played Darth Vader as, like, the person under the mask, not the person who voiced Tommy Lee Jones. Or not Tommy Lee Jones, sorry, fuck.
I forget his name, too, but...
he has, like, he's Mufasa!
James Earl Jones?
James Earl Jones, there we go. Sorry, there was my brain just went Jones and went with 3 names. They both have 3 names, now that I think about that. Holy shit, and they both end in Jones. James Earl Jones. What the fuck?
Famous people in the Jones. Indiana Jones, you know?
Anyways, James Earl Jones and Mark Hamill were the only ones who knew that, outside of editing and Lucas, what was about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what, like, when he's told the line, he was told something else. Like, no. Like he said, you killed my father. I don't know how they played it off in that. Just thinking about it, I'm like, I can't remember what line was actually said on set, so people didn't know. But, like, people didn't know until, like, some of the cast didn't know until they saw it. Which is so cool. And never would have happened in today's age. I mean, there's some times where that stuff does happen now. Like,
I mean, I'd say the closest thing we got to that is maybe Avengers Endgame, where the cast members only got the parts of the script with their lines in it. So they couldn't, spoil it.
Mark Ruffalo. Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Jeremy Renner. Sorry, the Sebastian Stan. There's a lot of spoiler people on that fucking list.
There's 50 main characters in the MCU. So it makes sense that there's at least 4 spoilers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's literally not much else I can say about Empire Strikes Back. It's just, it has a legacy. It has the technicality. It is very well written. It has good character development and great actors. It's just too good. Just that's just it. It's just too good. It's good. And it deserves.
It's
to
my
be the top
favorite film.
spot.
It's my favorite film. Like, there are other films that I know are better from a lot of other points, but there's not a lot of films that have impacted me like this film has, and kind of defined me like this film has. So, yeah, this is number one,
Mhm.
undoubtedly, and probably forever.
Mhm.
Unless 9, honestly, if 9 makes it to top 5, I'm happy.
If 9 isn't within the top 3 for me, I'm gonna be a little disappointed.
I'm sorry, Rogue One is just really good, so...
No, I get that, yeah. But, like, this is not 42 years of movie making, and for us, at least for me, 20 years personally of waiting for this movie saga to finally end.
Yeah, I don't know how long for me. Maybe...
Like,
I don't remember a time where I didn't watch Star Wars, so, like... I don't really know.
I'm just thinking back to my earliest memories, which is, like, age of 4 and 5, so I'm like, I probably watched Star Wars when I was 4 and 5, so...
No, I probably watched it. I don't remember, like, not having known Luke and that stuff, and I had a Star Wars, like, sheets on my bed as some of my earliest memories. So, like, I've always known Star Wars. So, potentially for 24, almost 25 years of my life, I've waited for this.
Yeah. So, I'm going to switch...
I'm... Okay, go ahead and switch.
I was about to say, I'm going to switch us to the last scene that I have, which is just the overall standings and where they sit for us.
Yeah. So, number 1 is...
I still messed it
again,
up.
flip 2 and 5.
Yeah, flip 2 and 5, and it'll be fine.
So, and I'll post it in chat real quick. So, in order, number 1, of course, is Empire. Number 2 is New Hope. Number 3, Rogue One. Number 4, Return of the Jedi. Number 5 is... Oh, no, number 4 is Force Awakens. Number 5 is Return of the Jedi. Number 6 is Last Jedi. Number 7 is Solo. Number 8, Clone Wars. Number 9, Revenge of the Sith. Number 10, Phantom Menace. And number 11 is Attack of the Clones. Where will Episode 9 be? We're going to find out.
Where stops, nobody knows.
I would be happy with 4. Hitting that 4 rank would be... 4 or 5 I'm okay with. But again, the competition it has.
Yeah, it's just, I want more, because this is supposed to be the culmination of 11 movies, 12 movies.
Yes,
so
but the competition is going to be against. So I want it better than Return, at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So at least number 5 on the list. Above Force Awakens would be ideal. So it's at number 4 on the list. And if it breaches the top 3, holy shit, I'm okay. Mm-hmm. I'm beyond happy.
I do have one concern, which is J.J. Abrams has openly said that he's terrible at endings. And this is supposed to be an ending. So.
I'm hoping that they have enough people, though, that can help with it. And... yeah, we'll see. I think I'm hoping it's at least top 5. That's my thing. Like, that is... If it's at least a top 5 for us, I think we'll be okay. If it's below that... And I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know where we go from there. That's just my personal opinion on it, though. We'll see.
We riot in the streets with pitchforks and torches.
I will say if it's below Last Jedi,
it's gonna be below number 2. It'll be the worst of all time. Attack of the Clones.
God, if it's even like possible that I could say, is Revenge of the Sith better? After this recent rewatch, which, by the way, can I go over my prediction list?
Sure. Why not?
My prediction, which I did back in September, and I started rewatching these, like, shortly after this. My prediction list was number 5. Obviously, top 5 were the same. But number 6, I had Revenge of the Sith, which, upon rewatching, wow. Number 7, I had Episode 8 there. 8, I had Clone Wars. Number 9, I had Episode 1. Number 10, I had Solo. And number 11 was obviously going to be Attack of the Clones, no matter what. Solo was better than where I put it originally. Clone Wars was, I was like, oh yeah, this is actually, compared to those, this isn't bad.
I mean, we even almost had Solo even higher, so it was close.
Yeah, it was a debate, but then we just, like, its lows are low. Like its
Lower.
lows. I want. Yeah, they're kind of lower, and the rest of the film's very middle, so it doesn't quite trump the lows of episode 8 and the highs of episode 8, which episode 8 does have some glorious highs. So, yeah. My prediction is that Rise of the Skywalker is number 5.
Okay.
That's my prediction. It'll beat out Return of the Jedi. Which, because remember, number 2 is technically New Hope. Number 5 is Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
My prediction.
Yeah. I'll take that.
You haven't seen any of the trailers, so
I have no idea.
you really don't. With as minimum exposure as you've had, where would you predict it being?
Just based off what we've seen so far, based off the last.
You have seen maybe 2 trailers from your theater.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even think 2. I think it was probably the same one that I was sitting there going la 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 la, la as best I could, and still could hear parts of it.
And just going.
Yeah. See, at first it started. At first it was, but then after about 30 seconds it was. Sorry, that was funnier to me than it should have been. So
Based off of just as minimum exposure as you've gotten yourself to be.
I'm thinking you're somewhere in the ballpark. Like, I'm conflicted. I want it to be 3rd. But
Yeah, that's where I would like it.
yeah, but prediction wise, I can maybe seeing it go all the way down to 6th.
Same.
Yeah. So like it's my hope is 3rd, but I think 5th is probably maybe 4th. I'll put 4th. I'll say 4th.
Okay. You're gonna be more optimistic than I.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
for
one
once.
of us has to be. It's not really. We're not gonna bet on this because this film literally could go anywhere on this list because there's a lot of stuff that's going on in it. Did we want to do any predictions or anything like that for the next one? Like, lot guesses.
I'm gonna switch us to our last. I don't have any special graphics or anything. We're just going
No,
back.
that's fine.
So, special predictions. I mean, I don't really have anything. Like, the only thing that I hope doesn't happen is I don't want Kylo to be redeemed. I would rather Kylo die a villain somehow. That's my hope. Only because he's done some terrible things, especially visible on camera. So, like, it's hard to see how they could redeem him. So that's I'm sure they will. That's what's going to happen.
If they're going to do it, they need to do it so right.
Mm-hmm.
My prediction, if they don't, my hope would be that, like, hey, maybe it's not redeeming, but they do team up, because you've seen part of the first trailer, you've heard the laugh in the background, and stay off of Twitter for the next week, because they confirmed something without some people maybe trying to avoid seeing happen. Hi, this person. They confirmed a return of a character.
Okay.
I don't know if you know or not.
I don't, probably. Like,
And I will avoid it.
Okay. I keep it as far away as possible. I mean, obviously I know Palpatine might be there, but...
Oh, that was it.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say, yeah, his laughter and things. I was about to say, we even made that joke during the show, so, like...
Yeah, fair. But, like, they had a poll, like, who are you most excited to see return in Rise of the Skywalker? Finn, Rey, Kylo, or Palpatine? I'm like, you couldn't put Poe? Like, be a little less, like...
You should...
Palpatine is back. No, hold on. Let me... Palpatine is back. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to see Palpatine?
Yeah.
It's a little, like...
Like, I would love to see that same poll, but it's like... Rose... who are other terrible characters? Holden? No.
Hey,
Although,
Rose.
she's not a terrible
all-
character, but people hated her. So I would love to see just social media of all the most hated characters, like Rose, Jar Jar, maybe like
C-3PO.
yeah, and then some other, and then maybe Palpatine, and it'd be like,
Wano.
yeah, it's like, who's your favorite to return? So.
Yeah, it's but yeah, no, next week is gonna be interesting because it's gonna be we're gonna have one movie to talk about, and I'm really hoping it doesn't end up being a short week or a short video next week or a short stream, because if we end up being if it's short, it's gonna be rough. So sorry if you watch this on YouTube and you go there and it's like, oh, it's only an hour.
Yeah, I was about to say, if it's only an hour long, that you're gonna see a very I think we'd be depressed at that point. Like if it's
there would just
yeah,
I would
like
not want to. There wouldn't be. I couldn't talk.
Yeah, if it's short, we know that this was by far an awful movie, but it was so awful we couldn't even get mad about it. Like. That's a whole new level of awful.
There would probably be a couple good outburst moments for me, but it would maybe be so soul crushing that I would just be a husk of a human being. So, yeah, that's all I got. I think I don't know what else to say at this point. 'Cause, I mean, we weren't really gonna do news this week because it was gonna be a long episode anyway. So,
yeah, so I mean.
Hopefully top 5. Hopefully top 3.
Okay.
So,
right.
could you imagine if this goes into 2?
Oh God, I would. The best movie of all time, just number 1.
Dude, if this movie makes me think, is it better than Empire? Man. Look.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Same.
I'm also just getting exhausted here. I've been.
No, that's fair. We'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably tired.
I'm sorry. Okay, give me. Fucking. Astral projection's a fucking bitch. I am no longer in the throne room. I am dying. Oh God, hang on. Oh God damn it. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, Dev. I'm just tired. Exhausted.
You need to sleep? Just lay your head back then, man.
Lay my head back?
Just lay your head back lay your head back for a moment. Go ahead.
But I don't really want to, but I guess I should.
It's okay.
I'll see you around, kid.
Go to sleep. He's gone! I'm fucking free! Guys, I'm free! I don't have to do Critically Casual anymore! Oh my god, I can just watch I can Rise of the Skywalker without worrying about the next show. My god, okay, well, I guess from here on out, it's just like the Har shows. So go to YouTube to watch those. Watch this last episode of Critically Casual. Join us on Twitter, where I'm going to tweet about Hardcore Game Night and Har podcast. Go to our Discord where we'll have a funeral for Steven. I'm fucking free. Oh man, I gotta go celebrate. I'm gonna go get some cocoa. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Oh my god, I'm fucking free. I'm fucking free of him.